having a live show June 20th in New York City, July 12th in LA. You can go on, where can you find the, I guess on my Instagram bio, but also it'll, LeahMcSweeneyLive.com.
LeahMcSweeneyLive.com.
Yeah, LeahMcSweeneyLive.com. Heather Gay and Matt Rogers are going to be on my show in New York. And in LA, I'm going to have Annie Lederman and another guest who I haven't announced yet because they haven't been fully confirmed, but they will be soon. So please buy tickets and come hang out. It's the Leah McSweeney Show. Oh my God. Wait, sorry. Thank you, Kat. Thank you for dealing with me. And I'm sorry. I've canceled. I've redone it. Then I canceled again and I've been sick. And I knew you would understand after reading your book. Like, yeah, I'm like, this girl, like, shit happens to this girl. Yeah. Like, she goes through a lot of fucked up shit.
Yeah, that could be like,
she jokes about it.
Yeah. That could be the alternate title. Instead of you can't joke about that. She goes through a lot of fucked up shit. It could be.
Wait, this is crazy. Your book is fucking popping. You're a New York Times best-selling author.
Yes.
It's what crazy. Else? On Amazon, it was like
it was like the #1 in the nonfiction category for most sold, and then it was #3 New York Times. It was New York Times best-selling 3 weeks in a row. So it's been crazy.
How did you do that with no personal publicist?
I don't know. I mean, I've on Fox, which helps, but also just like hustling and talking about it. And Keith, who is over here,
we love Keith.
He was the flower girl in my wedding. He's my best friend in the world.
He's hot too. If any cute guys are listening,
he's adorable. He's sexy. He also forced me to like do posts and talk about it because it's like, you know how when you had a book out and when you have to promote it, it's like shoot me in the mouth. Like it's like, hey, I have a book. Read my book.
Yeah, it's horrible.
But it is. It was harder than writing it. Yeah. Although, especially when I wrote it, and I wrote a lot of very vulnerable things in the book.
You did.
And then I'm like, oh my God, this is all going to be out there. And I knew that when I wrote it.
Isn't that the craziest feeling? I'm like, why did I put that in there? I can't believe I did this.
Yeah, exactly. I felt that way about my entire chapter 5, which is the shitbag chapter.
Right. That was a great chapter, by the way. No, but so when Chaos Theory came out, I was in a mental hospital a month before. And so which is really fucked up because the book is kind of about me, you know, healing. And like, and in the book I go, and I haven't had a depression kind of mental breakdown in several years. Yeah. And then I'm like, I had one, you know, it's so fucked up. And I'm like, and so when I got out of I had to push my audio, like me recording it, because I was like in the hospital, you know, and I told, you know, whatever, they knew. And I don't think they knew. I think they kind of got the idea. That I was either in rehab or a mental hospital, you know? Right. So I pushed it to like, and then when I got out, like a week later, I had to go record it and like say it out loud.
Oh, and that's crazy.
It was like, I was like, I'm going to have to go back in there because this is really difficult. Like, did you do the audio for your book?
I did.
Wasn't that gutted me?
Yes, because you're just reliving trauma.
Yes. I'm like, why the hell did I do this? Yeah. Oh yeah, for the money.
It's too late to change anything. So I'm in there in my chapter 5, which is this very detailed explanation of I had a bowel perforation. I had a shit bag for 5 weeks, and then I had some complications in the wake of the shit bag where I was gushing blood out my ass on January 6th in the hospital, and I had needed a blood transfusion. Yes. And I'm sitting there reading this, like, and there's just like the audio engineer sitting there, and I'm like, I'm so sorry. Like, but is what my book is about. Ultimately, that, you know, nothing is made easier by putting pressure on people to speak about things super carefully, right? Like, if I'm like, oh, I had a shit bag, people are like, or if you're like, oh, I'm in the mental hospital, people are like, oh, like, are you okay? Like, you're probably like, no, I'm not okay. Like, no,
I wasn't okay. I need to joke about it. I need to speak about it with a reverence. It was one of the darkest times of my life. I wanted to fucking kill myself. Right. Ha ha.
Right, exactly.
I like would see a knife and be like, I need to stab myself with that. Like, it's hilarious. Yeah. Like, how did that even happen?
It can be so isolating when you share things, whether, you know, any kind of trauma, and you share things and everybody gets weird around you. You can see them in their head, like, oh my God, I hope I don't say the wrong thing. Right. And you're thinking, like, I already want to kill myself. Like, you're not going to make it worse. Or like me, it's like, yo, I already have my intestine hanging out. Or like, my mom just died. I'm already at her funeral. Like, yeah, exactly. You can't like re-kill her. So I just want to, I'm still like, people are like, well, you shouldn't say that. I'm like, says who? Like, did you fucking know her?
Right. Like, why are you defending my mother that you don't even know?
You don't know her.
I know. I mean, I love, you know, you are really a free speech absolutist. And like, I am too in a lot of ways. But I do find myself I find myself using like jargon and like speaking in a way like framing things. Like I'll be like, well, like I'll have to like give I'll have to like give like a what's that? I'll have to like preface something. I'll have to say like, well, just like, I think rape is bad, obviously, guys, but you know, or something like, it's like, obviously, like, what the hell? Why do I even have to say that before I make a statement?
You do it to get a lot of context first. Like, you'll give a ton of context and then get to your
right, because I've been brainwashed by our society about like everything, you know?
Yeah. No, and because nobody looks for any context. I mean, I write about that the Kimmel thing in my book, right?
Oh my God, right. And his sister,
told me to fuck off and die. She told me to kill myself.
What a bitch. And you had no idea.
I had no idea.
You had no idea. Can you please just tell the story so people know?
Yeah, so Gutfeld was live in the pandemic, and we've never been live ever again since then. And I'm pretty sure that I'm the reason.
No,
because we were doing this story about how he's taking off some time or whatever. And I remember reading the article. He's like, he's taking up time. And I remember Jimmy Kimmel. And I remember that he said in the article, my whole family's healthy. And I remember that.
Right.
And I had no idea that he had his like son had a heart issue. Right. I didn't know. So I'm kind of riffing because so much of comedy is like, even communication is swinging and missing, especially comedy. It's like, you don't know if it's going to hit until you try. So I'm talking about, you know, how are kids like the only excuse to get out of things? And I'm like, it's way hard. It's really hard to I was in my head, my cat has all these health issues. I was giving him his heart medicine. So like, it's way harder to medicate like a feral cat than a kid because they don't have claws. And I'm laughing and I'm thinking about it as a joke about like, you know, like maybe relatable to like childless people. And it's like off the cuff. And Greg Gutfeld is like, I just want to remind you that Jimmy Kimmel's son has a heart issue. Panic attack, like actual panic attack. Like I disassociated for the rest of the show completely because I was freaking out. I felt so fucking bad.
Of course.
I was crying in all the commercials. But I was disassociating on the air for the rest of the block. I was like an autopilot because I was like having an actual mental breakdown. I felt so bad. And immediately I was like, I said, oh, sorry, and like laughed. But then the next segment, as soon as I had a chance to speak, I was like, I'm so sorry. I would never want it to come out that I thought it that way, blah, blah. Anyone who watched the show was like, you're fine. Like we saw what happened. You didn't know.
But
then somebody took the clip of it and said, here she is making fun of his son because he has a heart problem. God. Which, if I was doing that, absolutely fuck off. But do you really think that I'd be doing that and then I'd be like on TV the next day? Like, do you really think that I'd be doing that and it wouldn't be like a bigger issue? Right. And then even the articles about it, then they were like, oh, she later apologized. And it's like, no, that's not what happened. It was like an accident in the moment. It was a mistake. And as you know, obviously it was like such a horrible coincidence where I obviously could look like I was doing that.
Your cat and his child both have heart issues.
And it was like, you're not saying that, you know, you're saying it's worse for a cat to have a heart problem than a human baby. I'm like, obviously I'm not fucking saying that. But when all this shit popped off, I was actually at the vet with my cat, like when the video got posted later. But that's why I think intention is so important, right? Now there's all these idiots that are like, well, if someone's offended, doesn't matter their intention. You should treat it exactly the same. I'm like, I don't think so. Because if I really was saying fuck your kid with your health issue, then
that is way different.
Then you can tell me to fuck off and die.
What if like in a relationship, your boyfriend says something like annoying and whack as fuck, but his intention isn't to hurt you?
Oh my God, my husband does that like every day. I mean, like not every day, but
I just can't be in a relationship. I'm glad you told me that.
My husband is like, he'll say stuff.
Oh, your husband is such a sweetheart.
So sweet.
He says
not
annoying,
mean stuff.
Not mean stuff, just
but
dumb.
Like I'm trying to think of one.
Just give me an example.
Like when our first trip we ever took together, this one always sticks in my head. We went to Aruba and he I'm going to take her to Aruba. We only dated for like 2 months. He paid for everything, you know. And I was, we just started dating. I'm like showing him pictures of back in, years ago. And he's like, wow, babe, your face was so taut. Like implying that it's not anymore because like he doesn't understand because he's a guy and he doesn't realize
By the way,
that
your face is taut.
And I'm like, I got I get filler. You know what I mean?
Great.
Like I put stuff into my face, but I'm like sitting at the airport where I'm like, why would you say that to someone? And he was like, what?
They're like, such idiots.
They're dumb.
It's
like that's
crazy.
the thing. Men are just, they don't realize. So he's not mean to me. He's the most patient man in the world.
But do gay men do that shit?
Oh yeah, on purpose.
But they do it on purpose because they're smarter than straight men. That's why. See?
Yeah, he'll just. Yeah, I'm trying to think if you have any more examples of things Cam has said that's been like accidentally offended. But if his heart's in the right place, then it doesn't really. And also, then he was patient as I then like kind of told jokes about that on stage in front of him for a year afterwards.
Yeah, whatever. No, it's content. When you're married, dating a comedian, you have to realize, or even a public figure. I mean, it's like your relationship becomes content.
Exactly.
Like,
And
that's just how it goes.
It's like, babe, sorry. Like, I did give my mother-in-law, like, I gave her a copy of the book, but she is gonna know you banged me with my shit bag on. Like, she is gonna, like, she raised a
good, solid man. Right. She raised a good boy.
I tell him thank you for your service all the time, but I'm not talking about his time in Afghanistan. I'm talking about that. Like, I tell him that. Thank you, babe.
Damn, he was in Afghanistan?
Yeah, he was in Afghanistan. He's in the Army? He's an Army Ranger.
Well, that makes so much sense now, though.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
What kind of...
He was an Army Ranger. He was like, went there.
But what's an Army Ranger? Like,
he was there when they were like killing bad guys. So it wasn't like a nation building.
He killed bad guys.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's hot, right? I'm like, he's a trained killer.
With all due respect.
Yeah, duh. I mean, obviously, if somebody's like, oh, your husband's ugly, like that's
so rude. Yeah, no. Well, you guys are a hot couple.
But I had a lot of, as you've written, a lot of horrible relationships before that. Every relationship I had was a complete, like, bad. Nothing close. Bad. And then I met him, and I didn't like him at first because,
of course,
he was nice to me, and he had a good job, and he was normal, and I was like, right? But then snooze, I was like, where's all the pizzazz?
Where is that
like a personality disorder, like asshole. Untreated, issue.
Yeah.
Will kind of that I'm like, that's not spark, that's like untreated mental illness is what I kind of learned to understand.
So you're here to tell us that, like, the nice guy can fuck even when you have a shit bag.
Yes.
He can be exciting.
We have so much fun. He's the only guy I've ever been with. It's not like, babe, like, can you calm down? You're embarrassing me. Like, and I've tested that. I mean, like, I was talking about how this is actually worse than mother-in-law. I was talking about how he banged me with the shit bag on stage at a show in Chicago while he was there sitting next to my father.
Oh my God.
But he's like, I love you. I'm so proud of you. Aww. So it is out there, but I also I showed my crazy right away. Like, he knew that I was who I was.
Honestly, you have to show the crazy right away. I don't hide it. It's like, you need to know what you're dealing with, and this, it's a lot.
Yeah, and for you, I mean, for me, it's opinions where you can Google my opinion on pretty much anything and that precedes me. But for you, like, you were on reality, like being on reality TV. Yeah. It's like, oh, there's this footage of me doing something crazy.
Exactly. There's like footage of me like being blackout drunk and like naked and acting insane and like throwing a ravioli in someone's face. I'm not sure if like a straight guy is going to get that and like think about it in a way. I don't know. That's a lot.
I exposed myself. I mean, there's plenty of stuff that the world wouldn't have known about that I shared in my book.
Well, my book, the guy I was dating over the summer, we broke up because he
see these guys.
He read the book. I told him not to. I'm like, don't read it. It's like, just don't read it. And he read it, and he sent me a photo of one of the passages highlighted, and was like, you said that you don't need a man and that you are happy not in a relationship. And I said, well, I wrote that 3 years ago, and now I've decided to date.
Yeah.
And we had a huge fight over it, and then I blocked him. And maybe that was a little OD. There were other things, obviously. But
also, that's like the one red flag that he picked up.
I'm like, what about me doing crystal meth at age 14? Like, aren't you a little worried about that?
The fact that you're okay without me is a red flag. Yeah, that's ridiculous. Yeah. That's crazy. I had a guy break up with me over stuff I said on a radio show before, but we were like on and off. That was the guy that was like mentally and physically abusive to me.
What did you say?
Well, it was one of the times when we weren't talking, because he would start fights when he wanted to go bang someone else, and he would start fights so that he could go like on a weekend with another girl without me checking in. Because I'll be like, oh, I better not text him, I'll be in trouble. Like, I truly was so warped. So I was on the radio show, and I think this was the one I was on with Andrew Schultz was on, and I was on Jim Norton and Sam Roberts, and Andrew was like, he's banging other people, like he was, and I was like, I totally get. I was like, listen, he's a loser. I was like, he totally whatever. And I was like, he's crazy. He thinks I'm doing all this stuff. And I was saying all this stuff about it, and then he watched it, and then after we had gotten back together, and then he broke up with me again. But also, like, that was true. He left a notebook at my apartment with a list of all the girls he had banged that year while we were like together, and I took him back. I was an idiot. You know what I mean? So like,
how old were you again when that was going on?
Like mid to late 20s. and my mom had just died. The guy, I had that stretch
you
where
were
my mom died, grandma died, and the guy I thought I was getting married.
Yeah. Oh my God,
broke off me in front of my dad at Coney Island.
back to back is like,
back to back, 3 months, and then the guy broke up with me at Coney Island in front of my dad that I thought I was going to marry. And then I was like, so then this guy was like my friend.
How did you not end up in a mental hospital?
I don't know.
I mean, you ended up with a shitbag.
I was like, I didn't end up.
Do you think? How did you get the perforated bowel? That's what I need to know.
It's not clear. I could have been. I mean, I
you
had
guys having some crazy.
Dude,
sex shit?
That actually is not the case.
Okay,
that's not the case. It doesn't go like you. That's not possible.
I wonder if it was trauma.
I don't know, because I've always had like. I had gotten a colonoscopy, but that was weeks before. I've always had like gastro
Oh my God, girl,
issues.
don't freak me out.
No.
The colonoscopy game?
No,
I don't think so. To get one in a couple weeks.
Even if it is, that like never happens.
Sued.
I know, but you can't prove it because
it's shit out of them.
Because it was like weeks before. It could have been something. I don't know. I have gastro like issues, but I'm good now.
Okay,
I'm good now. It was very clear that it was like the worst pain I've ever experienced. But I just remember being wheeled into surgery and being like, of all the trauma, like this is the most niche trauma. I'm not gonna be like, oh, my bowel exploded, now my guts are out. Am I right, ladies? Like, people are gonna be like, what are you talking about? Because it's not a thing that really happens.
So whenever those bags scare me, I'm not gonna lie.
Oh, I get it.
That's
it scared
really
me too.
Like when you talk about your intestine poking out, I almost like fainted a couple times while reading the book. I was like, ugh. Like totally. I would die if I had to see my like intestine coming out of my stomach.
I did. I couldn't look at it.
What did it look like?
It looks like your small. Keith would help me clean it.
I know. I read that. You're so sweet.
You can see my scar right here. I think you see it's like
there it is.
So it was right out here, and it's just like a pink, like your small. It's trust me, I felt the same way as you, but it was on my body, so I couldn't escape it.
Right.
So I was like, it was bad. I mean, I had like a social worker who did come in and talk to me, like, how are you? And I was like, how the fuck do you think I am? You know.
At least they sent a social worker. Nice.
They were like, she's stuttering, but I couldn't look at it, and my therapist. It was all Zoom. It was in the pandemic.
Right.
He made me spend a whole session looking at it and touching it on Zoom.
Stop.
Right, because he was like, you're not going to feel better. You can't escape something that's on your own body.
Oh my God,
because
so
for a while, I wouldn't even empty it myself because I didn't want to look at it. So Cam, my husband, would do it for me. And he was like, you can't be like even moderately stable if you can't look at your own. And I had it for 5 weeks. So he made me do it. And that was what changed things.
It's also wild that this all happened during the fucking pandemic. Yeah. Because like I had a little medical emergency during the pandemic, but it was my breast implant was not like I had like a post breast implant issue on my left, and I had to like go to the hospital in the middle of the night. And it was like scary, whatever, but no one could come with me. Yeah, because it's the middle of the pandemic. Yeah, it's fucking crazy to have medical issues like during that time too. I was
by myself. There was very limited visiting
hours. And by the way,
hours.
I'm not comparing my.
No, don't worry about it.
But also, my nipple almost fell off, so that's pretty bad.
Oh. That can happen.
Well, I had a hematoma.
Yeah.
So normally that happens a few days after. And not normally. Normally it doesn't happen. But I went straight back to work. We were filming. I had my boobs done. I went pretty much straight back to work. We were filming a scene where I had to like be at the gym basically, and I was like, and I think that's what happened. Yeah. Thanks, bravo. And then like all of a sudden I'm like looking at my boobs and I'm like, you know what? I don't know if this one should be so black and blue still. Yeah. And I like FaceTimed my surgeon. He was like, okay, you need to meet me in the ER right now. I'm going to be driving back from the Hamptons. He like drove, it was like 2 a.m. Like he was like, your nipple could have like, it was bad. Yeah. See, I felt like I've never had like, I haven't had my boobs done. Obviously I'm wearing like a giant padded bra. I mean, your breasts look great. I mean, like, it's padding. But I felt like it was probably what a boob job would feel like in terms of excitement for my second surgery. Like it was to get the intestine back in. I was so excited. Yes. I was like, oh, my intestines are going to go back in my body. That's better than getting a boob job. I'm not having to look at your intestine anymore. I was so happy, but it was the most painful thing. Like the wound was way more painful. It was so bad. Wow. Yeah, it was the really recovery bad. Was the recovery. Hard. That was the hardest thing. Was the recovery. Because you probably couldn't really move too much. I can't move too much. It hurts really bad. You have to like put like saline bandages in it, and it like obviously feels like you're being stabbed with a hot knife.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. And then I had the complications. So you can't, like, I had blood coming out of my ass, like so much of it that I needed a transfusion on January 6th, which is why, like, then obviously I work in the news, so January 6th comes up a lot. So like,
you have to keep thinking about the day you were bleeding out of your ass massively.
For however long, like what, like 2.5 more than that years that we talked about on TV, that's where my head's at, and I didn't share that. And people are like, so I'm like, all I can think of is like the blood in the bucket and like how like I was like, I'm gonna die, like I'm bleeding out my ass, and you know, and like watching this on TV and this crazy old lady next to me who was like her like live commentary to no one in particular. We were all watching it together. You know, in the hospital, all the TVs were tuned to January 6th.
Yes, of course.
And she was like, you know, those people at the Capitol, they're not Republicans, they're not Democrats, they're Russians. And like, she was wild. She was so old. She kept thinking the people in the hospital were trying to poison her. Just, you know, she's old. Yeah. And I'm sitting there and I was like, but Keith told me, he's like, came to bring me McDonald's. He was like, no matter what, when anyone asks you where were you on January 6th, 2021, you can be like, I've got you beat. I've got you beat. Like, this was a day that will live in infamy for me. Yes. Personally, also.
I think you had a worse day than the QAnon shaman, to be honest.
Saying. Yeah. He was having a great time.
He was having so
His
much
bad
fun.
day came later.
People, exactly. People dress up as him, like, for Halloween. Yeah. Like, he's, like, kind of an icon now.
But every time I saw, like, Adam Kissinger cry, I'm like, I get it.
Who's that?
Like, he's, the guy who's, like, the anti-Trump Republican, and, like, AOC, like, they're all upset. And I'm like, I get it. January 6th was bad.
Said it was like her
bad.
worst.
Like, I get it. It was bad, but, like, mine was worse.
Yeah.
Like, I'm, like,
yours
mine, I promise you.
Absolutely.
I promise you that. But, you know, what are you going to do? Sometimes.
What are you going to do? Sometimes you.
But that's, like, exactly. And I can't, people, like, and a lot of the jokes in this chapter were things that I was writing as I was going through it.
Yeah.
I mean, I was sending videos of people crying about the Capitol while I was in the hospital, and I was like, hey, like, because if I wasn't laughing, I don't think it would have been possible. Right. I don't think it would have been.
Of course not. No, you had to be fucking laughing.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, no, see, me and my family, we laugh at dark shit. So I get it. I mean, this is how we deal with just all the fucked up things that have gone on, you know, in our lives. But yeah, I don't understand how people don't use humor more, or how they find it offensive. I mean, there should be there is obviously, there's always been censorship, you know, even though we live in a pretty like free country. I don't know. I'm starting to question like everything nowadays, but like, you know, I feel like comedians should never be censored like about anything. And like the walk off, like that Netflix show with like Dave Chappelle and stuff. Like, I'm like, I think that was like one of the highest, like most watched, highest rated like comedy shows. Like, people want to hear the fucked up shit. People want to see comedy. People they do not want comedy to be censored. There's just a smaller group, and it's obviously a lot of younger people that are our age. You know, I know you're younger than me, but like, you know, how old are you? Can I ask
I'm 34.
Sorry, okay. But yeah, that are our generation, you know, and younger, like Gen Z, millennial, whatever, that are extremely sensitive about everything. I mean, it's like the safe spaces and like trigger warnings. I'm like, just because I was raped at one point in my life doesn't mean that I need to you need to tell me that you're going to be talking about a rape in this podcast, or I'm going to read it in a book. Right. Like, I'm not going to like have a breakdown over that.
I wrote about that in my book, that trigger warnings, actually, they either don't work or they do harm.
They do harm more than anything. Yeah. Because then they think that like they need.
I mean, that's not, I write about this too. I hate calling that even sensitivity, because I'm mad sensitive. I've got so many feelings.
I'm so sensitive too.
But there's a difference between being sensitive and having feelings and thinking that the world literally, like, not just thinking, but demanding that the world revolves around those feelings that you have.
Exactly.
Because for me, the sadder my life was, I mean, I first started doing stand-up when I was living in LA, and I had nobody but my cat Jeans, and I was broke. I was sleeping on a yoga mat. I eventually lost my apartment. I moved in with this Colombian family of this bartender I was sort of seeing from my California pizza kitchen job. And like, I was like, we're not together. I just don't know anywhere to live. My Spanish was great during that time though. That was like the one bonus. I was like totally fluent because I had no choice. But I started doing stand-up all the nights that I was off. Yeah. And I just fell in love with it. And I worked really hard to, try to just get in front of audiences. And, obviously it was a long road to get there, but that was my one means of feeling some power over these powerful things. Right. I would joke about how shitty my life was. Yeah. And then also it was a way of connecting with people. And I think that, if you don't, let's say a joke really offends you, you need to watch your reaction, not even just for yourself, because you might be discouraging someone else from making another joke about something else that you might actually like, that might actually help you.
Yeah.
You know, and it's been like amazing because it's been a long road. I mean, to get here, there was that, and then I was, you know, broke in DC, and then I was broke in New York, and I was living in Harlem, and I was taking.
But life is good now.
Life is great now. That's
awesome.
It's just been. I was really, like, when you talk about doing the audiobook, I was rereading like everything that I've been through, you know, in the past 10 years of my life, and I was like, wow, like, are you okay? Like,
yeah.
But it's the one thing in common is that I had to laugh at all this stuff. I mean, when I first moved to New York, I was like living in Harlem. I was making like no money. I was taking buses to get like gigs where I wasn't even getting paid for like the exposure. And I wrote that one chapter that guy like took advantage of me, where he was like, I have this gig for you.
I didn't read that chapter.
Yeah, chapter 10. I have this guy, I call him Jurgens in the book because he had like the orange look, like of like abusing self-tanner wretch of a man. And he was like the feature for this big headliner that I was doing guest spots for and sometimes hosting for. And he was like, come to Atlantic City, like I have this condo, you can open for me, and you know, if it goes well, then you can get more spots here. So I'm like, oh, hell yeah. I take a bus out of Port Authority, and it's just like this bus, I don't even remember the name of it, but it goes only from Port Authority to Atlantic City. There was a guy with his pants around his ankles just peeing, like spinning in a circle, and he got on the bus. Someone smoked a cigarette on the bus. No one said anything. It was out of control. Out of control. But I get there, and only then do I find out that like the condo is actually just one room, like his room with one bed in it.
Stop it.
Yes. And I'm like, obviously he knows, like, I took a bus. There's nothing I can do about that. I don't have enough money to stay anywhere else. I'm like, I'm here, I'm gonna do the gig. And I stayed like that. I got in there late, and like everything was fine. Then I started sleep. The next night after the gig, he's like looking at me weird. He's being creepy. I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna do this gig. I fucking bomb. Like I bomb. Also, this crowd, like they love this bit where he would like come out with a guitar and he'd start singing like Save a Horse, Ride a Cowboy, and like people would sing along, put the microphone off. And then when it would get to one guy, he'd turn the music off, and it'd be this audio clip that went, I have a tiny wiener. Like, you know what I mean?
I don't even
like,
understand.
Yeah, like
crowd work.
Crowd work. Like
yeah.
he put the microphone to people, they would sing, and all of a sudden the music would cut. It would be like an audio recording going, I have a tiny wiener.
But what does Save a Horse, Ride a Cowboy mean?
That song, like the song. Like this was very Atlantic City. So I get back, you know, we get back, and I'm like, I'm freaking out. He's being weird. I bomb. It's bad. So I'm like, I'm just going to get shit-faced because I'm an idiot. Like I'm, you know, 24, 25. Yeah. I'm like, I'm just going to get drunk.
Totally.
So I get drunk, and then I'm on the couch. He's saying he'll let me know if I can do the second show or not. Like he's going to let me know. So I'm on the couch, and like he's gets on the couch and is like aggressively trying to hook up with me, like after I was like already like trying to sleep, like disgusting. So I like push him off of me, and it's like, what part of me being on the couch aside from the fact, and it was so uncomfortable. I remember I like didn't sleep. I sort of like maybe dozed off, and I was like, thank God my clothes are still on. And then he told me like, oh, you can't do the second show. So then I got back, and then I just like waited for the bus by these slot machines at the bus station, and I was crying, but I felt so happy to be out of there.
Yeah.
And then I found out later that I had actually never worked for that headliner again. I found out the reason was because he talked a bunch of shit about me after that.
What the fuck? I hate him.
I know. He's done now because he actually tried to sexually assault somebody else.
Of course
like,
he did.
At a comedy club.
I mean, he sounds like a total rapist.
People who try to like assault one woman usually try to assault more than one woman.
It doesn't just happen once.
Yeah. And it was like, it was like he knew how desperately I needed some money, and I was like, okay. And then also you just gaslight yourself of like, maybe this isn't weird, like maybe there really weren't any rooms and there was supposed to be another room, and because you just don't want to believe the actual real true thing of what's going on. And I don't want to piss off this headliner, so I'm like, I'm not gonna like storm out of here, especially if he's, and I'm just like, oh, it's fine. And then up until that moment I was like, oh, like he's really actually like assaulting me right now, you know, like it's like not rape, but he was like on me, you know. And I'm like, had to push him off. So I write a lot about the chapter about like sexism, and I relate to the fact that people like women in comedy. It's like, no, it's like women in the world. Every woman has stories like this who's like gone and had a job of someone harassing them, and you know, that's not even like the worst thing that happened to me. I mean, there's been so many different things, and I think that the best way to take your power back is to like, again, for me to write about this in the story and just make fun of his ass. And like this like skeezy motherfucker who obviously, again, he he got bolder because he like did it. But after one of my mutual friends, like in public.
No.
Her friend, yeah.
Oh my God. Her friend.
Yeah,
wow.
well, her friend. Because I just saw the mutual friend on my show in DC, and she's like, yeah, like, hey, like, that's funny that you're right. I mean, she believed me. Everyone believed me, but it's like these men. I mean, it was like before Me Too and all that.
Right.
But it's been a wild road. That's all.
He's like the Harvey Weinstein of comedy.
But he wasn't even that thick. He wasn't even like that good.
Enough,
like that's why they were like, are you gonna be able to find out who he like my publisher was worried about that. I was like, no. Nobody will ever know who he is.
But also, what, could he sue you or something? It happened.
It happened.
Like, so
exactly.
I know I had to change the names of like some people, obviously, like in my book too, even though I didn't really want to.
I know. I didn't usually names of anybody except, I mean, Keith is great because he was the star of the show with my shit bag and everything, to the point where like whenever I do speeches or a live event, I'll be like, that's Keith, and he hates the attention. He'll be like, and everyone's like, oh my
so
God, it's Keith. People are like taking their phones out.
Somebody asked me.
You're famous.
Yeah,
No
someone
way.
asked him to sign my book.
Oh my God.
Because I couldn't have gone through without you. But I mean, it's like, again, everybody has shit, and I think that it's made worse when you tell people like, oh, the way you're talking about that's wrong. Even when I call my mom my dead mom on Mother's Day, people are like, you shouldn't say that. I'm like, why?
Yeah.
Why? And they're like, it's disrespectful. Why?
Right. No,
I mean,
if it's the way you deal with it,
right,
then there's nothing wrong with it.
Yes. And even like with you talking about
Maybe
mental,
I need to start calling my grandma my dead grandma.
it works for
Maybe it'll make me feel better.
yeah.
My dead grandma. Both my grandmas are dead though, so I'm not really. Yeah,
I have one grandma left on the other side, but I mean, I
like her?
I do. She's so
good.
sweet. She's the sweetest woman.
Good.
I put like that pic. I reposted a picture that I posted in 2016 after my second Mother's Day without my mom. That was just a picture of my laundry basket and a bottle of Tide, and it said, "Mom's dad gonna do some laundry," and people were like so disgusted.
That's hilarious.
People like again, I only had like 300. I mean, I was on the weekly show. Like I wasn't really anybody then, but I was getting emails from people like, "How dare you?"
Oh my God! Isn't that insane that people feel the need to actually email you about the
her
way
own
you're
mom.
talking
Yeah,
about your
my
mother?
So then I reposted it. I think it's actually like I reposted it again this Mother's Day. I was like, here's the post. And again, I had some lady like,
oh, I'm gonna have
this
to go
is
on
really
and look.
cold-hearted. I got her to delete her comment because I was like, cold-hearted to whom? Like do you think I just don't give a shit?
Right.
You
like,
think that,
like you're not affected? Like you don't miss your fucking mother every fucking day?
Yeah. Like
Mother's Day is easy for you without a mom? Like what the fuck?
Like I came out of her body. You're just some lady in my Instagram comments who doesn't even have a picture of her real face.
They never do.
They never do.
Like, I mean,
you shouldn't say that. I'm like, why? But they see themselves as being compassionate, right? But they're bullying
they always
somebody.
have Bible verses in the Instagram bio.
They're bullying. There's grandmas are mean.
Oh my God. The people who leave the meanest comments on my Instagram are always like older women that have like pictures of their grandkids and like pictures of their dogs and their fucking dumb ugly families and have Bible verses.
Yeah, there it is. Yeah, they do. They're like,
what the fuck is wrong with these bitches?
I don't know, but they're like so mean. People are
maybe it's like menopause or something.
People are always like men on Twitter. Men on
that.
Twitters are such assholes, and that's true. But it's like, have you seen women in Facebook comments?
Women are worse
Grandmas
than men.
in Facebook comments
women
are like,
meaner.
Cat's fucking stupid whore. Blah blah blah.
Oh my God,
like,
people say the worst things about me ever.
Okay, like why is her dress up to her ass? It's disgusting. I'm like, because it's not disgusting. Because my legs are beautiful. Because because I look good, Grandma. Like, I'm sorry. I mean, imagine like using your time to do that. I can't.
Know.
But they're
next
savage.
time I'm just gonna be like, you're gonna die soon. Have you picked out your coffin yet?
That's the crazy. I mean, I don't understand how. I mean, I went for a long time where I didn't read it, and now I'm reading it again, and it's just like
no, just stop. Don't.
People, I don't care what they call me, except they call me dumb. It's like, listen, I didn't get from where I am now from being a Boston Market cashier because I'm fucking dumb. Okay,
these people don't know.
They
don't know. Social media has just given such a voice to so many people. It's like it's just so toxic. I'm not, Twitter is like the worst. I don't have a Twitter account. Well, I have one that I like lurk, whatever, for politics and crypto and stuff. But like, it's just a cesspool. It's just a place where it just shows how it reflects on how just low we are as a society. I don't know. I feel like we're just like, civilization's like falling apart or something.
Yeah.
Like, right?
I don't agree that it's falling apart. And we also just like see it all fall. I mean, I guess I do have a Twitter. I do have an Instagram. I have to have everything. I have no choice. But I mean, I also feel like I get I mean, I get it from a lot of different angles because like I'm on Fox, but I'm also not socially conservative at all. So it's like, Kat, you're going to go to hell. It's like, okay. Like,
right. Because you're getting it from like the right wingers who are like, you're pro-choice. Yeah, like, what the fuck, right? And then you're getting it from the liberals because they're like, you're on Fox.
The funniest one was like, Kat says I was like talking about how like I love RuPaul's Drag Race. And they're like, Kat says she likes the drag queen show. She should be fired. And I'm like, I laughed so hard at that one. Was so good.
That's so funny that you say this because Trixie Mattel was my last guest.
Amazing. Yeah, amazing.
And we had such a great discussion because I do feel like, look, there are some things I'm more conservative about and some things I'm more like liberal about.
Yeah.
The fucking drag queen
I don't
shit,
get it's a mystery to me.
What the hell are you people so worried about? Do you think like I don't even like what was Megyn Kelly saying? Who I she's so beautiful. It's like insane. Like and you know I like her show. I like her podcast. Like sometimes she has like cool guests on. She's doing like the other side of like things that you don't normally get to hear about in like a very kind of liberal skewed media or whatever, or like, you know, whatever. But she was saying like, she was just going on and on about the drag queens and drag shows. And I'm like, you don't like get it. How do you not get it? Like, this is not, I don't understand how people who like live in New York City, which she did at least, you know, how they can be like, thinking that like drag queens want to groom children and sexualize children. No, honey, that's fucking like all the fucking fashion advertisements that we've been dealing with as a society for years.
What about Hooters?
Hooters.
High chair.
Yeah, exactly. And what about pageants like for little girls and shit?
Pageants are crazy.
They're fucking crazy. That's what we're talking about. So I'm just like, you know, it's like this one drag queen, they're like, this one drag queen like molested a kid or something. I'm like, great. And how many like just regular ass non-drag queens have molested kids? Like, are you gonna ban people?
That's my whole thing too.
It's like so dumb.
It's like one of those stories like this drag queen was bad, this bad thing. I'm like, well, fuck that person. But like, I love drag queens. Like, I love drag. I mean, I dress in drag every day myself. Like, I said that on Fox. I was like, how is what I'm doing not drag? I'm wearing fake hair, flake lashes. This bra is like a chest piece. Like, I have nipples stuck to a rib cage. Like, I have no boobies.
What does Gutfeld say about the drag stuff?
I think he's like not religious. I don't think he's really cares.
But what does religion have to do with the drag queens?
I don't think it does. I just think
these
some people
are just because you know they're being told lies by people like Megyn Kelly and by people like other conservative like pundits that like drag queens are here to take your children and groom them and molest them and make them into drag queens. I don't know. It's like, and like what? Like the drag queens I know don't give a fuck about children. And I'm sure there are some who are like, you know, like Trixie was saying, like they dress more conservatively and they're doing Disney stuff and like they're not the fucking problem. And I don't understand how the Republicans are so hyper focused on this. I'm like, they're just like using it as like a,
because I don't know. I think it's a lot of the loudest voices get the most attention, right? Because I think most people that I know aren't like, because I didn't even see what Megyn Kelly said, but overall, like most people that I know aren't saying this stuff. I'm gonna have to go back and watch it as soon as I get out of here.
Megyn Kelly's going in on the drag queen
I have
stuff.
to go in and watch
it's
now.
It's fucking weird to me.
I have to go in and watch.
Because she didn't seem like that Republican to me,
no,
like that conservative. Like she's like pretty like center right, you know, like. But this, she's maybe someone, I don't know if she's doing it for clicks. I don't know if she's doing it because maybe someone's got in her head and like lied to her about shit.
It confuses me. And
it's weird.
It's like, again, my flower girl was Keith. Well, my flower girl was a 32-year-old man wearing heels and a tutu and like a flower crown, and so it's like,
it's really strange.
You know, my flower girl was a man.
It's strange,
but I just again, I think it's like some of these loudest, because most people that I know are like cool with it, but also I'm like beyond cool with it. Like I love. I mean, like,
same.
What do I want to do all like any week? My dream day is like at a drag brunch. It's so much fun. I walk out of there like I'm so beautiful. I'm the best. I can take on the world.
I super support fucking drag.
1,000%.
1,000%. So it's very weird to me that like there's a focus on drag queens who are not like we have so many more.
Is it the dollar collapsing?
Exactly. We have real issues.
Yeah, that's how I feel.
And these people are creating bans. Exactly. It is the
government should be completely out of this stuff. I mean, it's like the economy, the dollar collapsing. It's crazy. You can't say you support the First Amendment and then be okay with these laws.
That's what I'm saying.
That's what I say all the time.
So Ben Shapiro does that shit too because he's like.
You always point at me. I only like the guy casually.
He's like free speech, and then he's like Cardi B. This is bad for children. Why is she rapping this stuff? These lyrics are terrible. Honey, you just said you were not. Yes, and you just said you were anti-censorship last week, so make up your mind.
Yeah.
It can't be only the stuff you agree with. So I'm sorry.
I agree. I'm all, and that's why it's a lot of people love this
book.
The book, yes.
Oh,
they love the book. They
love the book. That's why they love this book.
No, well, I mean,
but they love what?
I will say that like a lot of conservatives loves like what Ron DeSantis is doing with Disney, and it's like, dude, like I hate Disney is a weird place for an adult to hang out for me. I never understand that. Like people are like, let's go to Disney. I'm like, dude, it's so expensive. Let's just go to like actual Europe instead of like drink around the world. Like,
oh
no.
my God, it's so expensive.
But like it's it's after they spoke out about something he did, and then he starts retaliating like, hey guys, like it doesn't matter if you like the thing or not.
Right.
I don't, but like if you do, then like doesn't matter.
Exactly.
So I do in this book, I will say is it's not, there's one chapter about politics and it hits both sides.
Yeah.
So
of course, because you're very,
I have, and that's why I want more people to read it than even have, because I really think that the way we talk needs to change, because it's not just about like free speech, fuck you. It's also about like, once we can start expressing ourselves, we can understand each other better.
Yeah, and we're having a hard time doing that.
We really fucking are.
Like it is one of the biggest problems with society and our civilization is just like the polarization. You know, it's fucked up.
Yeah,
it's fucked up.
And people like will think they know, you say you have one opinion about something, and then they think that they know every opinion you have on everything, and will attack you for different things.
Oh my God, I know. Like when it came out that I was going to be on the show, you know, people like found, people were just bringing up old stuff, but still that I like, they're like, she wrote an article against me too. It's like, no, I didn't. I was against like these two Hollywood actresses that were like co-opting me too.
Yeah.
How are you even going to say? And then they brought up something that I said when I said, I don't think Trump is actually like hates like Muslim people because he does so much business with like Muslims. I think he's doing it to like get his base, his crowd, excited for him, which still doesn't make it okay. But like, that's what I was trying to say. They're like, she defended Donald Trump. Shut the fuck up. Just shut the fuck up. I know. There's like no new, it's like just clickbait bullshit. It's fucked up.
You need to have a nuanced opinion.
You have to, and you also have to read things with nuance and think about things with nuance, or you're just going to drive yourself insane. And everyone is insane now in our country. It's really crazy.
It is really crazy.
I can't really. I want to like gossip about Fox, but you can't do that.
I can't, but I also don't know anything.
I'm like, so what happened with Tucker?
I literally, the thing is like this happened like as my book came out and everyone's asked me this, and
I'm sure.
I actually have no idea.
Yeah, well, him and Don Lemon might have a show on Twitter.
That would be sick, by the way.
Well, I mean, Tucker's gonna have a show on Twitter.
Well, I think the two of them on one show would like heal a nation.
Oh,
you have,
that's
the same show.
Good idea.
I already have a name for it.
What's it?
It's called Frenemies.
I would watch it.
Elon Musk. We have a suggestion.
Yeah.
Don Lemon, Tucker Carlson, together, healing America, frenemies. Let's make it happen.
All we want is a little royalty off that. A small royalty from the name. That's it. We're good.
And
that show will be
Kat
amazing.
Needs to come
and
on
Kat
sometime.
On the show.
Yeah. I'll come on and I'll just take like 5 million. That'll be it.
Yeah. Exactly. What else?
What else? Okay. So I'm bringing it like to this book or back to the book. Sorry.
Yes. Bring it back to the book.
Bring it back to the book. I just think when we talk about like people who are trying to control what other people say, this or that, and I think we need to just make sure we realize who we're really hurting here. And I think we're hurting people who go through it, the tough stuff the most.
Yeah.
Like me with my shit bag, me with my mom dying, you with your mental health stuff. I did write another chapter about also the toxic positivity, which I think can be just as bad.
Oh my God. I mean, it's so annoying. It's like, no, that's not realistic. And don't tell me that if I think negative thoughts, I'm going to be fucking mental for the rest of my life. Like, I understand not ruminating on negative thoughts, but you're going to have negative thoughts.
Right.
The key is to understand that your thoughts aren't always the truth, right?
Yeah.
And like, you don't have to like put so much emphasis on them. It can be like, well, I'm having negative thoughts now. Like, it can't be like, I'm having negative thoughts. No, I can only think positively. No, of course not. It's not fucking realistic.
No, and I wanted to ask you, what is like the dumbest shit or least helpful shit anyone's ever said to you about that stuff?
It's similar to what you said when someone, it's like, well, snap out of it. You have a lot of great things going for you. It's like, I want to die. Like, do you not understand that? Like, there's also something chemically going on in my brain that I like can't control, and I like need help, Yeah. But yeah, I think that
like look on the bright side.
Look on the bright side.
It's a great idea. I should just be happy.
Yeah, exactly. I'll just start thinking positively right now. Like, no, it takes a lot of work. But yeah, people just saying dumb shit like that. It's crazy. I remember once I posted something about like how to deal with what's it called? Oh, seasonal affective disorder, and I was just talking about like getting, getting a sad lamp and whatever, and like medication and therapy. And then my friend, who he's an acquaintance, but he's someone I've known. He's a friend, but I've known him for a long time. It's not like we talk all the time, but he DM'd me like, damn, like, yo, what happened to you? Like, we're from New York. Like, we don't talk about that shit. I'm like, what? Where have you been, bro? Like, no, we do talk about that shit.
I talk about that a lot.
I kind of talk about it a lot, but yeah, the toxic positivity stuff is fucking insane.
Because for me, it's making fun of myself is the healing thing. It's like everything. I mean, humor is my coping mechanism.
Yes.
I mean, when I
think I need to do it more, actually.
Because it takes the power away. I mean, when I was like losing all my hair, I read about that in my book. I didn't read that part. I'm sorry, because I didn't get to finish it. I am finishing it, but I'm wearing a lot of extensions now, so my hair's not this good, but it's way better. Like,
looks great.
Totally
natural too.
I had alopecia. I do. It doesn't go away. So I was diagnosed with it in my mid-20s, and I do PRP. I do like Rogaine every night. Yeah. I do all the, like, it took a while for it to grow back, but it was like really like to my chin and like really stringy and
wow.
And it was like bad. It was really bad, and I felt awful about it. And then what helped was like to make jokes about it rather than like my ex, the guy that was abusive, would be like, you rapidly aging fucking idiot, blah, blah, blah. But then like Gutfeld, we were joking about how like I look like Tanner from Bad News Bears. Like that was funny.
I don't know who that is.
Like that, like I'm going to be like, oh, like I'm like the little, I'm going to be like a fun wig girl and all this like stuff like that.
Just or like making light of it.
Yeah, making light of it because it's not because it's funny. It was fucking, which is why it was so funny because I was never going to talk about it until the book. But then when Will Smith hit Chris Rock making a joke because of his wife's alopecia, I was like, okay,
you're like,
this is my very specific niche. Like there's not that many like females who have done stand-up who have alopecia at Fox News. So like, okay. Because I never had to shave my head, but I got to the point where like, I thought I might have to, and at some point I might have to.
Yeah.
And it
losing hair for a woman, I lost a lot of hair after I gave birth. That can happen, like, because of your hormones.
I'm literally terrified of that.
Yeah, because of your hormones and shit. And I'd be like, just like clumps. I have a lot of hair, obviously, but like it grew back. But like it was it feels demoralizing when you're losing your hair. Yeah,
it was so bad. Like I used to
so much of our femininity is like tied into our hair, and our like our confidence is tied into our hair. Yeah, it's a lot.
I would just be like, I look like Jeff Dunham from Dumb and Dumber, like, what I mean? Because it was like, and if you've already kind of made fun of yourself, and not in a way where you're just like shitting on yourself, but that really kind of takes some of its power away, at least for me.
Yeah, okay. See, I think I need to learn how to make fun of myself without being like totally self-deprecating though. Yeah. Because sometimes I think I do it in a way where I beat myself up a little. So how do I do it? Like, how would I make a joke about going to the mental hospital last year? The good thing before the book and after my season 13. Well, like, how do I do that?
First of all, bro, like that is fucking funny. Like it is funny that you wrote this book. Like of course it's funny. Like it's just because it's serious and like sad doesn't mean it's not funny. Like you wrote this book and then you got out of the mental hospital. Then you had to just sit there and reread your trauma.
I know.
That's fun. I think it doesn't have to be funny. Yeah. I mean, my husband is not funny, but he jokes with me about stuff, and it can be healing to kind of, when you treat something as being, you can't joke about that thing because it's so serious, then you're making it even more powerful. Like, you can't even say its name. Right. You have to treat it so sacred. So that gives it way more power than it already has, which, going to a fucking mental hospital is not, obviously that's not like a light subject.
Right.
But that's your shit.
It's my shit, and I get to fucking talk about it however I want to.
Yeah.
Wait, so I had a dream last week that I was doing stand-up comedy, and I opened with a joke, and I remember it.
Oh my God, that's so crazy.
Can I tell you?
Yeah, please do.
All right, it's gonna sound like horrible. Okay, so pretend I'm on stage and there's a bunch of people. All right. Well, most of you guys know my mom, Bunny. Then everyone claps. We love Bunny. She's a devout Catholic and a therapist, which means I'm going to be on antidepressants for the rest of my life.
wait, that's so amazing. Because also
Was
my
that
mom was a
good?
Catholic and a social worker, and I've been on,
Wait, are you serious?
yeah.
What
and
the
I've been on every antidepressant.
Wait,
and
my
you
mom's
dreamt
a
that.
social worker also.
That's so like that's relatable.
Wow.
Dude, you write better jokes in your sleep than a lot of people do in their day.
Well, it could have been like, I know, but then I was like, oh, it could have been like, so I'm probably going to have a couple more trips to the mental hospital, right? Or you could say something else. Or like, so that means I've definitely been in a psych ward a few times. I don't know, whatever. Anyway, I had a dream about it and it was like fun. It was funny.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I only ever went to a mental hospital for like 2 hours because I had I felt like a panic attack. I had like a meltdown with this guy and it was like having an issue and I was like thought I was dying. So I went, but I was discharged not to stunt on anybody.
The most fucked up thing about the mental hospital is like you can voluntarily like sign yourself in.
Yeah.
But like you don't get to sign yourself out.
Right.
Like once you're in there, like they get to tell you when you leave.
Yeah.
Even if you're like, I'm good now. And the crazy thing is that that one stint, I had a doctor who was convinced that I was bipolar 1, which I was not having any signs of any bipolar 1. I was just extremely depressed and having like horrible anxiety and I was having a rebirth. I was having a dark night of the soul moment also.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like there were reasons that it was happening, right? So I wasn't just like, I'm Jesus Christ and blah. Like I wasn't like, like that. But he put me on this crazy medication, Tegretol, which I was like, I don't want to be on. I don't want to be on this. Try this. I'm pretty sure you're bipolar. Okay, I'm going to try it. I was seeing demons when I closed my eyes. Okay. The next morning he comes into my room, which this is inappropriate. He pulls the chair next to my bed because I was too tired to get up. I was like,
yeah.
And he comes and he sits down and he's like, I'm not taking that shit again today. Like, I'm not doing it. You need to put me on an antidepressant because that's what I've been on. And then it stopped working. And that's when this happened. So you need to put me on Zoloft or something because I've never tried Zoloft. Please let me try Zoloft. And he's like, he puts me on Zoloft and I see him. I tried the Zoloft that morning. So when you try an SSRI, the first couple days, and especially if you're sensitive to medication, which I am, you feel your brain being like, right? And I was like in kind of a giddy mood, but I wasn't like manic. I was just kind of like feeling not like shit, because like it gave me a little jolt. So he calls me in to see me at like 6 p.m. or 5 p.m. before he leaves. And I'm like kind of laughing or something. He's like, you're having a manic episode right now.
Because you were laughing?
I'm like, no, I'm not. He's like, you're not taking that Zoloft again. This is dangerous. You're totally bipolar. And I'm like, yo, bro, I fucking called my lawyer. I was like, my psychiatrist knows the head of this motherfucking hospital, honey. And like, you are not making me take that. You're not giving me a fake diagnosis. I want a female psychiatrist.
Yeah.
Thank you. And I'm going on fucking Zoloft. I'm advocating for myself and I'm taking the medication I want.
I wonder if he got commissions from the sale of the other one.
What?
Yeah.
Because it sounds like he's pushing it so hard like a salesperson.
It was crazy. And also Tegretol, it was used in the 1960s. Like there's other things that you could have tried. Like it's a very weird drug. Like he was like a dinosaur. Like I'm sorry. He needed to retire. They needed to get some new people. I don't know. Have you ever thought about are you on meds now?
I'm not right. I'm on Vyvanse for like ADHD,
that's cool.
but like I've been on and off of antidepressants. I'm off them right now.
Oh, good for you.
Which is crazy.
Goals.
I know, it's wild.
Yeah, that's great.
But it's also like, it's going well. I'm not saying I'll never be on them again.
Of course, right.
But Vyvanse,
they're there if you need them, right?
Oh, absolutely. Vyvanse, it's like I have ADHD like bad.
Yeah.
Like really bad. If I have a baby and I gotta go off that, it's gonna be interesting.
Yeah, you can't take it and be pregnant.
I mean, some doctors say you can, but I don't know. I don't want to. It's just like my husband. He's like, he knows what he's
surrogate.
Yeah,
I mean, not that I'm really planning on having more kids or anything, but I'm like, damn, if I did meet someone who was like didn't have kids, wanted another one, like I'm not going off of my meds.
Yeah.
So we're going to have to get a surrogate.
Yeah.
Because I'm not risking my mental health. I'm not risking the postpartum. It's already too sensitive up here. Like, and I know that, that it's like family history and shit and like just everything. It's like, nah, like I like can't, like I definitely would have to get a surrogate for sure.
Yeah. And you have to, and that's just as legitimate as any other reason to get us, like, physical reason to get a surrogate, and your own body and your own brain.
Exactly. I just don't want to be taking chances. I also paid tons of money for my boobs and I'm not
Yeah, I think after I have a kid, I just want to get like a ridiculous boob job when I'm like 70, like a ridiculous, like a ridiculous, like cartoonishly large,
totally,
and then I'll need a wheelchair because I won't be able to walk because it'll be too big. So you'll just wheel me and my giant tits around. Like, I don't know.
Or but that's cool. But you're planning on having kids.
Yeah,
you want kids?
Nice. I'm like really scared of it, but I was just, I feel like.
What part are you scared of?
All of it.
Yeah, like the pregnancy part, but also having a kid.
Like having a kid and then what you have to keep it alive.
So easy.
And then
what if I did it, anyone can.
What if you hate the kid? Like, what if the kid grows up and likes things that suck?
I was worried that my daughter was going to be ugly.
Yeah,
she's not.
That was the first thing my mom said when I was born. Was, "Oh my God, she's ugly," because they had to
it's a real
get me out with the whatever the things are, and I was all bruised, and I looked like an old man, and she was like, she's ugly.
Well, yeah, when they're babies do tend to be ugly, but it's like, and not to be like a looksist or anything, but it's like you worry about.
That's a thing. A looksist is a thing.
Whatever. I don't know. I'm probably just made it up in my head to not offend people.
I always wonder, would you know, like if your kid was, or you'd be like, my kid is so smart and beautiful,
you love your kid so much
but
that
they're
you wouldn't
actually
see.
like a little gremlin.
Yeah,
and they're terrible.
No, I think I'd be able to tell.
Yeah,
I'd be like, honey, we're going to the doctor.
We're going to the face doctor.
We're going to mommy's surgeon.
Yeah. I worry about that. I worry about it because I've never done it. I don't know. But I never wanted kids. That's like the one thing I knew about myself. Then I met Cam. I'm like, oh, I want to have his kids.
Isn't it all? Oh,
yeah,
that's so sweet. Isn't it also like there's this thing now where it's like you can't ask a woman if she wants kids or not?
Yeah.
I mean, I kind of get it, but I also think it's like, is it that offensive to ask someone if they want kids or not? Because you can just be like, no, I don't. Then I guess if you say, well, that's crazy, that's offensive. But if the woman says like, no, I'm not, I don't want children, and there's no like bad reaction to that, then how is it offensive?
I don't know. I mean, I guess there could be people who like
can't
want,
have
but
kids,
also like they already know that. They already know that. So I think
I wasn't gonna bring it up.
Yeah, I think people...
Even though I was curious until you said something, and then I said, okay, let me ask.
Oh, I'm terrified about it. Like, I'm supposed to, like, my IUD expires, and we're just going to, pull that goalie and just try to do it the sex way, but...
What IUD do you have?
I have the Skyla, and I love it.
Okay. Well, not that I think me and my boyfriend are breaking up, so I'm not gonna insert the NuvaRing into myself anymore.
That's the worst. The first time I got my first IUD, me and my boyfriend broke up, and I was like, dude.
Yeah, you're like, I just fucking went through all this trouble. Well, it's not an IUD, it's just the thing that you put inside of you.
Yeah, this is an IUD.
That's an IUD.
I was like, I'm not getting it, take it, I'm leaving it in, and then we froze embryos already, so I have 9 embryos already, which is a lot.
You were like on it. Like, when the hell did you do that?
Like 2 years ago.
Good for you.
I was like, I don't know, but I also did not think I would get that many. It's like a lot.
I know. So how many do they like?
I have no idea. They're just like hanging out somewhere.
So you're gonna use those and not?
I'm gonna try to do it the sex way, but
you'll probably get pregnant the sex way.
Right. I know. I've been birth control my whole life, so I convinced myself. I was like, I'm not fertile. I was like, I'm completely infertile. I'm like skinny. I'm no titty ass bitch. Like I'm I'm barren. And then they come and I was like, we have
You'll
9.
Probably get, see, you are. So,
whoops.
Yeah. No. I thought that too. I was like, I was such a whore, and I did crystal meth. There's no way I can get pregnant. And then Rob came at me once, and I was like, I'm pregnant.
Yeah. But it's scary. It's also just your identity and as a human being.
Yes. That part
scares me.
That part was hard. And I do remember being pregnant and crying, being worried that now me and Rob's life is going to change and it's not going to be the life that I knew. And but I was also super young, when I had Kier, you know?
You were very young.
Yeah. But I mean, for New York standards, right? But no, being a mom's the fucking best. You're going to love it. You're going to fucking be a great mom. You're going to love your kids so much. You're not going to hate your kid. It's going to be the best thing ever.
I'm excited. I mean, it's also just my sister said this is a horrible reason to have a child, but I'm like, dude, why not?
Yeah. Well,
why
not? Also,
let's see how it goes.
You need someone to take care of you when you're old.
Let's see how it goes.
Someone's gonna push my wheelchair
with my big ass titties.
I told Kiki, I feel like one of the Kardashians might have said this, but I said this years before the Kardashians said this. There's someone in the news said it not that long ago, and I was like, hey, I said that shit first. But I told Kier that when I die, I want to be cremated and put into a necklace, and she needs to wear me.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah. That's great. I also want her with me. No, I want her with me when I'm dying. She needs to be there holding my hand. She's the only person I care about.
That's a lot of dead mom jokes.
I literally told the cable news, like the viewers, that when my cat dies, that I plan on having him cremated and tattooed into my body. I don't even have any tattoos.
Wait, you're gonna have him tattooed into your body?
Yeah, so then we'll always be together.
But I don't know if you can do that, actually.
There's a place called Cremation Inc. I did the research. You know what my dad said to me? My dad was like, Catherine, if you love me, please wait until I die.
Do what?
To tattoo my dead cat into my body. But he's still alive, but he is 13 almost, so it's... they don't live forever.
But wow, that's crazy.
So I'm just saying, if you want to up the ante a little bit,
you can put the ashes. Well, I would like. I mean, I love my dogs. I don't want to really think about them dying. They're still young, but it would be good to have them stuffed.
Oh, see,
no.
What if the taxidermist does a bad job?
It looks weird. Like the eyes are all wrong.
I would like them.
Handbag.
I would like to. I can't imagine not. That's funny.
An umbrella, but like you keep the tail on it. I know. I'm just gonna. I don't know, because
you can't get the ashes tattooed on you, cat.
That's what everybody says, but it just makes me want to do it more.
Yeah, no, we can't let her do that.
Yeah, it doesn't seem hygienic.
It doesn't seem hygienic at all. You're gonna like end up with a shit bag again.
You're gonna get like kidney leukemia.
I'm gonna start getting cat illnesses because I mean, I don't know. He's still alive. He hates when I talk about this because he's like, what the fuck? Cheens, yeah. He's the best. He's the best thing that ever, well, actually, he
Can
sucks.
I see a picture of him?
He's my phone background, so I don't even have to try that hard.
Aww.
Yeah, he's the best. He's
been with you through everything.
Okay. He's been me when I was a Boston Market cashier. He was with me through all of it, from there to now.
Can I ask you one thing? Did you ever get harassed on the street for being on Fox in New York?
I mean, it has happened before. I mean, I had a major incident actually in like 2016 where I was about to go give a speech for, Ben Kissel at all? He's I don't know if you've met him before, but he's a friend of mine. He was running for like Brooklyn Borough president.
Is this in your book?
It's like one sentence.
Please tell me about it.
So and then some guy walks up and tapped me on the shoulder and he dumped water on my head and then he whipped it in my face. And I just started crying and I couldn't give the speech because my eyes were burning, so I thought there was like chemicals in it.
Oh
but
my
actually,
God, that's you thought you were probably blind or something.
Yes, but I just literally had so much eye makeup on that that's why they were burning. I like came from work, but I thought I was like.
Did they arrest him?
No, they have all the footage, but like nobody really gives a shit. So
what?
They have security footage of the guy, and it was in Brooklyn at Union Pool. And then I've had a few other times. There's another time like someone was like yelling at me. I was like at a club and they were like yelling at me. I just let it go out in the street. Like I was like screamed out of a bar. There was another time like people. I mean, the most cunty time, which was less dramatic, I was like having dinner with my friend and someone came up to me and was like, what's it feel like to be ruining the country?
No.
And I'm like,
what did they look like?
Nothing. Just like a hipster, right?
They looked ugly.
Yeah, like a fucking hipster. And I was like, what did I say that upset you? And they had no idea. They just recognized my face as someone who's being on Fox. So it's like, you don't even know.
What did you say? Yeah, you don't even, right.
You don't know these people. Some people don't even talk to me at all. They're like, oh, well, it's crazy because it's like, okay, I'm on Fox.
That's so dumb.
Yeah, I'm on Fox. Like,
so
what have
dumb.
I said that's made you? And they're like, no, but you work at Fox. And I was like, you work at a bank.
Exactly.
Right.
Thank you. What the fuck? People are crazy, man. Mm-hmm. Yeah. How do you deal with that? Like mentally, spiritually?
I'm grateful for the platform that I have. And it's just one of those things where it's like, I'm always stay true to myself, and sometimes I'll say things on Fox, and most of the audience, I mean, like a lot of them, I have people who watch Fox who like me, even though they're like, oh, she's like,
you're like, I cash my checks, that's how I deal with it spiritually.
she's a little I don't agree with her on this or that, but I like her. But also the things that I do say that piss off the audience, it's like that's what I really believe. So It's also like the flip side of that. I have this platform, and if people are gonna be like, that's the wrong platform, it's like, dude, like, would you take the job or not? You know what I mean? Because it's like, you probably would.
But also like, you're not like on like some super like right-wingy show.
I'm also just not like super right myself. Like,
exactly.
I'm not like
and neither is Gutfeld.
No.
Right? So isn't he a libertarian or something?
Yeah, he's more right than I am, but because I'm just like very libertarian. I'm like very socially liberal.
Yes,
I'm very live and let live. But he's more so, but like we had like Marianne Williamson on our show actually. I saw that you had her on.
I had her on.
I could listen to her voice for like 9 years. Just like,
oh my God.
I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, do you want to just every time I can't sleep, can you just like leave me a recording?
She's like so amazing in person also. She's just incredible. I love her. And I know, and I don't even know what I identify. I used to be like, I'm a libertarian, but I don't think I really am.
Yeah.
I think I just felt like I wasn't a Republican or Democrat. And I also love libertarians.
Yes.
Just like, you guys are so cool. But I'm not sure if I'm actually one. Like, I just don't identify as anything. But I love like Marianne Williamson's like policies and all her beliefs and stuff. And I'm like, that's definitely not libertarian, because there's like a lot of, you know,
I'm
regulations.
Like,
and, you know,
I'm like,
I know.
I'm like, nope.
Yeah, I know.
Nope.
Yeah.
But people also, they fail to understand that being libertarian doesn't mean I don't care about those issues. It just means
Of
I don't think
course.
the government's the one to solve them.
Of course,
which
I
is
know.
the
Well, I
constant.
saw only one. I do need to watch you on Bill Maher.
Oh, that was wild.
But I did see one clip of him being like,
Yeah.
well, that's ridiculous,
Oh,
Kat.
yeah, I was like,
no
geez.
taxes. Oh, that's
He's
ridiculous,
like, you don't believe in
Kat. I'm like,
taxes.
I didn't really like that.
So I just digged in deeper though. Like, I don't care. Like,
I know,
this is my first time meeting this
you
person.
handled it really well, but I felt like he was kind of like being, I only saw that one clip.
It was a journey because we talk about everything. And by the end, I'm like asking him about how he has these ducks. He has a pool that has ducks living in it.
Oh, like
and I
Tony
was
Soprano.
But it's really just because like he has a spare pool to let it. He has like that level of money.
Yeah.
But I was like, do you like know their names? And he did. And he like lit up and was so
It's
about
like,
these ducks.
It's like Tony Soprano.
I
Do
was
you
like-
not know what I'm talking about?
I was
The
like,
Tony
no,
Soprano.
I'm
Yeah,
Polish.
totally.
I
Yeah.
don't.
He
Yeah,
loves
I'm
ducks.
Polish.
You never watched The Sopranos?
No, I've never seen it. I've also never seen it. We also talked about
Kat.
this. I've never seen anything. I have no frame.
What?
I've never seen it.
Have you watched The Sopranos?
I've seen
Oh my God, you guys are crazy.
like
It's one of the best
Italian.
shows on TV, though. It doesn't matter. You don't have to be
And they have
Italian to like it. But listen, wait, what'd you say?
They're Italian. They have guns.
Yeah,
They have
but
guns.
He has
Yeah.
a lot of trauma and he has panic attacks and he's in therapy and it's really interesting. And the ducks, it's a whole thing. Anyway, the ducks are interesting. But wait, was Bill Maher? Was it? I mean, I love Bill Maher and I love what he does and I love that he's like critical of like both sides and he
Yeah.
like is the liberal who's speaking out against liberals and you know I like it and I think it's so important. His voice is so important. But I didn't love his interaction with the one clip I saw. I'm gonna have to watch all of it.
Yeah, that was the only time that I
Okay,
think it
so
was
you
like
felt
that.
it was fine. It was a good experience.
I had a great experience.
Okay, great.
Because also he was just like, "You're neat." I was like, "Okay." Like I'm not really that easily like shaken. But it was like Keith came with me, and it's at his house. There's one
Right. It's his podcast.
house. Yeah,
right?
one house is a green room, one house is the studio.
Yeah.
And he doesn't tell you when you're starting to film. You just sit down. And he's like, "How much do you drink?" And I'm
Yeah.
like, "What do you like to do?" And then all of a sudden it's like we're recording, and then an hour's done.
Yeah.
And it was great. I had a great. We talked
Okay,
about
good.
lots of different things. So
cool.
Was this his show
I don't
or was
believe
this
in
the
taxes
podcast?
either.
Random.
Oh,
His
random. Yeah, I like
podcast,
that.
yeah.
I like
But I don't believe in taxes either, by the way.
I just think
Neither
it's
do I. I think they're illegal.
Absolutely fucking bullshit.
That's what I'm saying. It's armed robbery.
It is
They
armed-
take your money and then people show up with guns if you don't pay it. That's the definition of
It's
armed robbery.
fucking crazy. And they fucking
you go to
like,
jail.
Put
And
a
you go to jail.
they put a lien on your fucking accounts and shit. And then like I'm being audited for like a few years, like back
Yeah.
like 2014 and shit. Like and they're trying to like say that like I don't even know if I can put this in here, but whatever. But they're trying to say that I can't even use business expenses for my business. Like it's actually like they want this 30 grand so badly from me. Like they must be struggling so badly that they're like literally doing illegal shit, and I'm not paying it because it's fucking illegal.
They take your money and then they spend it on stuff that sometimes like you don't agree with. Like, oh, you
Exactly.
don't like this war? Too bad. You're paying for this war. You
Yeah,
know?
it's like
For taxes, we were allowed to allocate our taxes. Like,
Yeah.
I owe this much. I'm going to put it towards this, this, and this.
Yeah.
or if
Just put it towards this.
if the government actually worked and if the systems that were in place actually worked and the organizations that our tax dollars pay actually worked.
They don't.
They don't work.
They don't. It's like you think.
And if the education was great and the kids are thriving, they're not.
No.
So where the fuck is the money going?
Exactly. It's like every tax dollar you give, it's not, being put into a bottle to feed a starving baby.
Exactly.
Like,
I wouldn't mind paying more taxes if it fucking actually meant that everyone had health care. If it actually meant that kids had a great
That would
education.
never happen.
It would never
know,
happen because
I
the
know.
whole system is set up because it's like it's a self-licking ice cream cone. They're just like, okay, yeah, well, if this money, then this we can make more money this way, and it's like lobbyists are involved. So they just take your money, they spend it on whatever they want, and like there's no reason you should be going into Congress and you come out and you're fucking loaded.
Right?
My
Like,
God.
Right?
Oh
just look
my
at that.
God.
Like, before AOC went to Congress, she was like a regular earner. She's driving like a $170,000 Tesla.
But she's a woman of the people. I said this before.
I saw her in my
She's
mint
full of
first
shit.
class trip. I'm like, oh, like you weren't flying this before.
She's
Right.
so
like,
full of
what?
it. She has a French bulldog. I said that. That's all you need to know.
Like a $3,000
That's
dog.
$8,000. No, that's more than $3,000.
They're depends on
very
what color. They're very
expensive.
expensive, and they're not even. You have to do them through IUI. Like they're all in vitro.
What's IUI? Oh,
they're
what?
in vitro.
What?
They don't have sex with each other. So and then you can't.
Her boyfriend's ugly as hell too.
And then you can't even. They can't give birth because their heads are too big, so they're all C-sections. Like, these dogs do not exist without capitalism, bro. Like, I'm looking at your dog alone, and I'm saying you're full of shit. Like, I'm just like, you're full of shit.
I remember.
That's a good $8,000 dog.
I remember when she. No, I remember when she had.
Your dog
I remember
can't
when
fuck.
she like introduced the dog, and then people were like, "You didn't adopt," and it's like she didn't.
No, she didn't.
She's full of shit, guys.
Yeah.
When are you gonna realize that? Like, I don't care that she's a woman. Like,
No,
I don't.
like, yeah, I don't want to date
It's like
you.
a woman is in the, it's like, I don't give a shit. No, and Nancy Pelosi too. Are you kidding me? Like,
I know.
She's like now retiring
She's
with like
ridiculously loaded.
400 million to 140 million, whatever it is. There's a lot of fours in there. All I know, it's a lot of fucking money. And she was only making 200 grand a year.
Right. Because of the good guessing.
Let me
that her
get in
husband was
on
doing the
that.
stocks.
Let me get in on that. I gotta run for Congress.
Absolutely.
I might
That's
do
just
that.
crazy, though.
Why can't I?
It's crazy, and everyone's like, if you don't want to pay your taxes, you're a bad, mean person. I'm like, no. This is. It's not that I don't want to help people. I would love.
Yes,
it's actually so hard to be able to give money somewhere where you know that it's actually going to go to the thing you're supposed to give it to.
Exactly.
It's so hard.
It's so
Did you guys see this new thing now in New York? They're putting, and this is not, they're putting the migrants in schools. So
I
this
didn't know
city,
that.
so my nephew, he's 3. He just started the pre-kindergarten
Pre-K.
thing,
Yeah.
and they were gonna have us sign a piece of paper that just letting you guys know that we are housing people here. We took them right out. My brother ripped them out of school and was like, nope, we didn't know. We didn't know the school in our neighborhood in Brooklyn. So the mayor just said that. We're not against migrant. We're just like, there's kids here. Little itty bitty kids.
Yeah.
And down the hall is a grown man.
Living in a dorm.
Yeah, living in a dorm. It's craziness.
Yeah. And oh man. Yeah. Exactly.
Welcome to New York City.
Again.
Jesus.
Yeah, it's so whole, and I'm whatever. Another issue I have with the Republic. No, with the right wing is the way they speak about immigrants. I mean, I understand we of course need to have control. We need to have borders. We need to have rules and stuff, but. These people, I mean, I feel for them, man. They're like,
I totally do.
They're
I said this on TV this week.
Horrible.
It's like, I got no issues with any of these migrants.
Yep,
That's the way to frame it. Is like, no issues with any of these people. I would do the same thing. The issue is like this welfare state that just wastes all this money and it spends all your money on stuff that you don't agree with and you don't even have a say in the way they do things. So it's not them. It's like this system.
It's the system. No, it's not them. They're literally trying to come here and they're escaping horrible fucking places.
If I was like, they were like, someone told be free hotel room, even
who
though
the hell
like,
wouldn't take it? Like they're going to be living on the street if they
I
don't
would have
take
taken
it.
that in Atlantic City. Like, you know what I mean?
Why stay with the creepy guy?
Yeah, exactly.
You could've
So
just
it's
had
like, you
your own
don't blame
hotel.
them.
Oh my God. Are you working tonight? You work tonight every night. Is it every night?
Yeah, I gotta head out.
You're on the Gutfeld show every night?
single night. That's why I gotta head out because we film at 6.
Okay.
Sweet.
Well, this was amazing. I love you.
I love you
I'm
so
so
much.
glad we got to like kick it also. But let's like hang out for
Absolutely.
real.
I'm around.
We'll see if Nancy wants to come join, right?
Oh, that'd be
we'll
great.
all have a little
Nancy.
kiki.
I haven't seen it forever. Let's do it.
Okay.